Hey you! You're watching a clip from the DynamiteGizmo podcast. This is not the full episode, but if you want to see the full episode, make sure to click the link in the description. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. Do it now! Here's the clip. With UFC leaving ESPN and connecting ties with Paramount. My name is Gregory. No, that's Gregory. At the end of last year and rolling into the start of this one, there were all kinds of rumors about what would happen once the UFC's exclusive deal with ESPN came to an end. And true to form, the UFC didn't slow drip the news. They just dropped it on us out of nowhere. Just this week. And for those who haven't heard yet, which, if you haven't, what the hell? Are you living under a fucking rock? But it doesn't matter. I'll explain what happened right now. The pay-per-view model for the UFC is, or so we thought, officially dead. At least for the next 7 years, starting in 2026, the UFC is moving away from being exclusively tied to ESPN and has inked a massive deal with Paramount Plus. Every numbered event, every fight night, all available right there for as little as $8 a month with ads or $12 a month ad-free. Hallelujah. This is a huge step, a huge first step for the UFC. In over 30 years, they've never ditched the pay-per-view model. They were one of the last major sports properties to hang on to it. And now, it's finally gone. Now, it's not Netflix like some people were hoping for, but this is exactly the kind of move fans have been wanting. No more shelling out $80 a month for a card, and the numbers are crazy, dude. This is a $7.7 billion deal over 7 years, averaging at least $1.1 billion per year. And for comparison, the ESPN deal was bringing in about $500 million annually. That's a massive jump. And it's a win-win for both the UFC and the fans. Well, most fans. Because here's where the downsides come in. Okay? The first downside is potentially for the fighters. Now, as Ariel Helwani pointed out earlier this week on his Monday morning Ariel Helwani show, no more pay-per-views means no more pay-per-view points for the top fighters. Pay-per-view points are a negotiated perk that gives a fighter a cut of pay-per-view sales. For example, if a card sells 1 million buys and the fighter's deal pays $1 per buy past a certain threshold, that's $1 million bonus just from pay-per-view sales. Usually, only champions, big stars, and main event draws get pay-per-view points, and the amount varies by contract. Without that revenue stream, some of the sport's biggest names could see a serious pay cut, unless Paramount and the UFC come up with a new bonus structure. And as we've heard from Dana White, he said, of course we're going to do something. Of course something's going to happen. Every time we sign a new deal, fighters get paid more. He has been quoted saying something along the lines of that. But he didn't say specifically what he was going to do because he still doesn't specifically know what it is that he's going to do. Now, the other downside about this, and it's a downside that affects specifically Canadians. I don't know about other parts of the world. I know Europe has their own thing with TNT Sports. I don't know about Australia. I don't know about any of that shit. But what I do know is Canada, because that's where I live. Okay? When I first read this news about the Paramount Plus deal, I was obviously ecstatic, just like everybody else. I had to crack my neck. I'm so sorry. Finally, no more pay-per-views. But then I saw, the fine print on this fucking ordeal. And this Paramount deal only applies to the United States. Anyone outside the U.S., the deal doesn't apply. At least not yet. Even if you have a Paramount Plus account in Canada, you won't be able to watch UFC events on Paramount Plus. That's because Canada has its own separate deal with Rogers Sportsnet, which renewed a multi-year contract in 2024. There's no publicly announced end date, but based on past deals, we're probably locked in till about 2027. And before you think, I'll just get a VPN, there's a catch. Paramount Plus requires a U.S. billing address to sign up for the U.S. plan. So it's not as simple as just it's not as simple as just switching your location with a VPN. And the UFC didn't make any of this clear when they announced the move, so I figured I'd put it out there. If you're outside the States, don't get your hopes up just yet. But according to Ariel as well, once the Rogers deal expires, Paramount will have a 30-day window to secure the Canadian market first before anyone else, which would be ideal. But for now, we have to wait. And there's no disclosed end date, like I said. We don't know when this Rogers deal is going to actually be up. But based off of previous contracts, it's probably going to be somewhere after 2027, around that time. So do you think the UFC moving to Paramount Plus and ending the pay-per-view model in the USA is a good move for the sport? And should they make it globally right away? I mean, obviously, right? What a dumb question.
Tap here to watch the full episode of the Dynamite Gizmo podcast.